Hello everyone, Ariam here. Time for another Dinosaur Days. Today we're going to be looking at the Kentrosaurus, a lesser known cousin of the Stegosaurus who I think deserves a little bit more recognition. I'm going to start this off by saying that these drawings are a lie. I am lying to you, and I'm so sorry for that. Expect a full apology video in the upcoming days. Dinosaurs in general, like most reptiles, would not have had very flexible tails, and the more a tail or a limb is going to be used for defense, the stiffer it's going to be. Recent simulations have shown that another dinosaur with a defensive tail, the Ankylosaurus, which don't worry, I will be doing a video on, would have only had a side-to-side range of movement of about 45 degrees on that tail. So yes, the pose that I chose for this Kentrosaurus is probably physiologically impossible. I know. Now put down your pitchforks and your torches, because remember, this series is not only about highlighting different dinosaurs that I think should be highlighted, it's also about improving my drawing skills, and dynamic poses are part of that. So let me give him a wiggly tail, okay? Now that everyone has calmed down from this horrible crime that I have committed against dinosaurs, let's talk about what makes this animal so interesting. As I mentioned previously, the Kentrosaurus is a stegosaurid, which means it's closely related to the much more well-known Stegosaurus. However, you will note there are several differences in appearance and physiology between the two. The most obvious of these feature differences would be the large spike that protrudes from the Kentrosaurus's shoulder blade, but there are a few more subtle differences as well. Compared to the Stegosaurus, the Kentrosaurus's back plates are more narrow, and they transition much earlier on the body into those tail spikes, which actually is called a thagomizer. This really awesome name for those defensive spikes at the end of a stegosaurid's tail actually came from a Far Side comic by Gary Larson. I'll try to put it up on the screen here. I love seeing strange little instances like this where art impacts life so directly. The Kentrosaurus is believed to be a small to mid-sized stegosaurid, where it could reach lengths of up to 15 feet, but the tallest part of its body up at the peak of its spine probably wouldn't have been much taller than the average adult man. Something I probably could have pushed the boundaries on a little bit more is that difference between the head size and the body size of all stegosaurids. All stegosaurids, Kentrosaurus included, had a very small head in comparison to the rest of their body, and inside that small head would have been an even smaller brain. For example, the Stegosaurus is estimated to have had a brain about the size of a walnut, so it would be presumed that Kentrosaurus would have had a similar teeny tiny little brain. Honestly, I relate to that pretty hard. Compared to their skulls, the Stegosaurid family had some really beefy bodies. This is thought to be due to the fact that they were strict herbivores, and based on their teeth, it's thought that they may have eaten small coniferous plants like ferns from the forest floor. It takes a lot of time and energy and repeated processing in order to exude the proper amount of nutrients from plant matter. This is why cows have a multi-chamber stomach and intestinal system. It allows for reprocessing of that plant matter, which allows for the most efficient extraction of those hard-to-reach nutrients. In a similar concept, it's thought that this is the reason that these stegosaurids would have had such large bodies. This body size would have allowed for either a multi-chamber stomach, a really long intestinal tract, or both, which would have allowed for the most efficient processing of the nutrients from that vegetable matter. Let's get back to those spikes though. Now, other than the obvious defensive capabilities they would have provided, it is thought that at least some of these plates would have been covered with a thin, skin-like membrane, which could have had other purposes. With skin, obviously comes blood vessels, and having blood vessels exposed to the air like that would have helped with thermal regulation, or could have allowed the animal to flush blood into the plates, allowing for a colorful display, either for defensive purposes or, again, for sexual selection. That'll be all for today. Sorry for the shorter video, but I am approaching Dead Week on campus, so things are busy. The next video will feature 2 dinosaurs, however, which is all the more reason to remember to smile.